Nancy Bulmer turned 101 last year. She spent almost half her life in this small rural community. Her son-in-law Don Jamieson brings her dinner every night.
Hi Nancy, that's Pam's lovely roast chicken.
Oh, thank you.
But despite such support, living by herself is getting harder.
She's getting more nervous, particularly at night time. She was at the stage where she felt perhaps maybe moving into an aged care facility was a possibility.
Pleased to hear that.
He tried to get Nancy admitted to the local nursing home, run by charity Southern Cross Care, but Don says they wouldn't take her because rooms were being painted. Just a month later, he was shocked to hear the home was closing.
I was very disappointed in Southern Cross, very disappointed. They are a church organisation. They say that they're going to care for people, to show the love of Christ, and I don't believe they've done that.
Southern Cross Care initially cited lack of demand as the main reason for its decision to close down the facility, but now points to difficulty recruiting staff.
It is absolutely factual that we were seeing a decline in the occupancy, but it wasn't the main or the sole reason. What I would say is that severe workforce challenges, and go so far as to say severe workforce shortages, were probably the most significant challenge that we were facing there.
People were in tears. It was just absolutely gut-wrenching for everybody involved. And the residents were just absolutely distraught.
Former staff member Marie Whittington's job was to assess applications for new residents. She quit just a week before the closure, frustrated with the way the home was being managed.
They weren't bringing in any new residents for the last few months, despite there being a demand for the beds. None of the staff knew what was happening.
Southern Cross Care New South Wales ACT received nearly $130 million in government funding in the last financial year. It has assets worth more than $640 million and runs 61 residential aged care and retirement villages. But for the last few years, the not-for-profit has been operating at a loss.
This decision was not made from a financial perspective. It was made because we were under enormous strain and we could not continue to provide the high quality care that we wanted to.
There are almost 1.5 million people over the age of 65 living in regional Australia. But despite official figures showing a growing need for beds, most regional nursing homes are struggling to stay afloat.
About 78% are actually running at an operating loss, and 54% in total are running at a cash loss. So there's a significant amount that are under, we call under significant financial pressure.
Across Australia, 24 homes have closed in the past year, with 7 of those in regional areas. These closures have impacted 282 regional beds. 730 has obtained data that suggests 166 regional homes are in dire financial circumstances, which could lead to more closures.
If there's no change in the funding arrangements, there will be an exponential increase.
In Lithgow, 2 hours west of Sydney in the Central Tablelands, a community-run aged care centre has been fighting to stay open. Last month, it was put under voluntary administration after the home was stripped of its accreditation and due to close this month.
Should people have to move away, the consequences to their mental and physical health would be very drastic.
Lithgow Aged Care failed 38 of 42 benchmarks in an audit from the industry watchdog, the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission. These include concerns about governance, healthcare and treatment of residents by staff. Stephen Leslie joined the board at the end of last year in the hope of getting the facility back up to scratch. He quit when it went into administration.
This facility was built by the people of Lithgow, for the people of Lithgow. It should be a community-based run facility for the benefit of those who contributed to building it.
He says the home got into trouble after it spent most of its cash reserves on a new building, partly funded by the government. The $10 million facility has sat empty since it was finished because they can't take on new residents following sanctions imposed for failing the benchmarks. In a last-minute reprieve, the administrators announced this week Not-for-Profit Respect has bought the facility and will keep it running. Situations like HARDEN and the one here in Lithgow have healthcare experts agreeing the sector needs more funding. But the question remains, how will the government ensure the money is spent where it is intended?
I find it extraordinary that taxpayers' money is going into the aged care sector. A whopping $21 billion is spent on aged care, and the public really have no way of knowing how that money is being spent.
So at the moment there are two real problems with aged care funding. First of all, a total lack of transparency, and secondly, a lack of regulation and accountability. It's hard to trace where the money goes.
We really need to shift this blame that's just on the provider, and we're an industry under siege. And I have to be honest, it's been a trial by media for the last couple of years.
So we're really going to sort of spruce it up so that...
Back in the rural New South Wales town of HARDEN, it's too late for Don Jamieson and his mother-in-law Nancy to save the local aged care home. Instead, he's renovating the granny flat out the back of his house to look after her for as long as he can.
We just want to make sure that the last few months, years, whatever it is of her life, she's happy.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.